Fine. So yesterday we were discussing about this vacancy formation. So this green line, the graph, this represents, x-axis represents energy of the atoms, y-axis represents number of such atoms. Not to this case, don't worry about this case. Now, these atoms means which atoms? These are the atoms which are in the crystal. The atoms which are in the crystal, which have occupied lattice point. These atoms, as the temperature increases, let's say, material doesn't exist at absolute zero temperature. Always they are at elevated temperatures. As the temperature increases, they gain thermal energy. Because of the thermal energy, this atom, which is at a lattice point, it is not stationary. It starts moving. Right? Start moving means it starts oscillating, but it is still bound. It is still bound. It cannot come out. It has that. Depending on how it is bound, it has different degrees of freedom. Depending on different degrees of freedom, it starts moving about the mean position or moving about the lattice point. Right. So now I say this atom has energy. Right. This is bound. Let's say if you consider this particular atom, it is bound by 4 atoms. So it cannot leave this position, but it has energy. It has to utilize its energy. What will it do? Start oscillating, start moving. Depending on the degrees of freedom, it starts moving. Now, look at this atom. This atom also has energy because they are all at same thermal energy. This atom also has energy. How much energy this atom has in comparison to this? So both of them have same energy? Need not. Now let's consider this atom. This atom also has thermal energy. What is its energy compared to this? It can be anything. It need not be same. So when we look at the energies of all these atoms, we see the energies of all these atoms varies like this. That means energy is minimum in some atoms, it increases, then it decreases in some atoms. Y-axis is number of such atoms. So energy of these atoms has a range from minimum to maximum. From minimum to maximum. Energy of these atoms has a range from minimum to maximum. Whereas maximum number of atoms have energies in this region. That is the average energy. But we also see some atoms have higher energies. Look here. Some atoms have higher energies. Though the number is less, still they exist. Number can be less, but still they exist, and these atoms have higher energy. When they have higher energies, that higher energy, if it is enough to break the bond, these will certainly break the bond and move away from the lattice point. That's what happens here. Let's say this particular atom had more energy, it broke the bond and moved away from its lattice point. It is going away from that lattice point. So again, that as it moves away, this position is filled because as the atoms come out, their energy increases, their entropy increases. Always anything in this universe tries to increase its entropy. Do you agree? Anything in this universe tries to increase or improve its entropy. Always it likes to be more free. Entropy means more free. Okay, the atoms which are inside here are bound, tightly bound. Atoms which are on the surface are less bound. So this vacancy which is at the surface, it won't be left behind. Immediately it will be filled by some other atom. Therefore, this vacancy, whatever was created by movement of this particular atom, it has moved into the crystal. It has moved well into the crystal. Okay, like this. So this is the vacancy. Now there is a formula to find out this vacancy or estimate this vacancy. Not exactly find out, estimation. It is just an estimation. To estimate the vacancy, it is equal to NV is equal to capital N into e to the power of minus EV by TT. As temperature increases, vacancy increases. T is the temperature in absolute scale. EV is the vacancy creation energy or energy to create vacancy. That is EV. N is the number density of this atom in this material. Nv, now once you evaluate this, Nv gives number density of vacancy or vacancy density. Number density of vacancy or vacancy density. Who is this?
Sir, what is K, sir?
K is Boltzmann constant. Okay. Now, in impurity, there are two types of substitutional impurity, interstitial impurity. First, let us look at substitutional impurity. So here we have this is a lattice, let's say. This is occupied by one type of atom. Let's say silicon. All throughout it is silicon, or gallium. All throughout it is silicon. Now, one of the lattice points is occupied by a different kind of element. Different kind of element. Right? All this is silicon, whereas this is a different kind of element. But this element exists exactly at the lattice point. This exists exactly at the lattice point. So, an atom which used to be here is substituted by another atom. A silicon atom has been substituted by another atom. That is why it is called substitutional impurity. Look here. This is the regular arrangement. One atom, same atom, different atom, same atom. See? So this atom, different atom, has occupied the lattice point of this host atom. Has occupied the lattice point of this host atom. Now, the thing is, this is a different kind of atom, point number one, different kind of element. Okay, this is a different kind of element. Because this is a different kind of element, the bonding around this element, bonding around here is different from rest of the crystal. Do you agree? Because the bonding is different here from rest of the crystal, obviously the band structure will be different. The energy distribution will be different. Point number one. Point number two. This crystal, this element which is here, it may be smaller than the host atom, or it may be bigger than the host atom. Right? Both are possible. It could be smaller or it could be bigger. Okay. In any case, whether it is smaller or bigger, obviously in this region the crystal structure also changes. First of all, bonding itself has changed. Second thing, the crystal parameters also change around here. Because of that again affects the energy distribution around this area. It will be different from the rest of the material. Do you agree? This certainly affects the behavior of this crystal when such substitutional impurities are more. If the number is negligible, very few, of course, the crystal will take you. If it is more, certainly such change in energy, the alteration in energy region will go on increasing, and certainly that affects the final performance or characteristics of the material. Okay, so the second one is interstitial. So in the interstitial, the host atom lattice points are intact. All the lattice points of host atom are occupied by the host atoms only. There is nothing. Nothing is displaced, nothing is missing, nothing is. But the gap between the host atom, in the gap between the host atom, there would be an interstitial atom present. So in the gap between the host atom, there would be a different elemental atom present. So this different elemental atom need not be the host atom. It could be always, it could be different. So where is this atom located? It is located in the interstitial space between the atoms. Interstitial space between the host atoms. That is why it is called as interstitial. Again, because of the presence of this atom, the region around here is different with respect to bonding, also with respect to the crystal parameter. So both these things together alter the energy distribution in this. Why am I talking about this energy distribution again and again and again? Any idea? Any idea? You know this, but might not have thought in this particular context. You know this. Why am I saying energy distribution is altered? If energy distribution is altered, the performance will change. Why am I saying this? Any idea? Come on, somebody?
Because there can be a difference between energy conduction band.
I can't hear. You are not audible.
So the holes and the conduction band gaps may increase or decrease.
Correct. This, when you say this conduction band, what is the meaning? Can somebody explain?
So the reason wherein atoms are available for conduction, electrons are available for conduction.
Noise was coming, sir.
Electrons are available for conduction, I understand. Electrons are available. When we say, let's say in a conduction band, let's say in a material, okay, some material, you take any material, you take a metal. There is an electron. This electron moves throughout the metal without any hindrance. Do you agree?
Okay.
It is free to move throughout the material. Do you agree?
Yes, sir.
There is a free electron in the metal. It is free to move throughout the material.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Yes,
Who is facilitating this electron to move easily through the material? Come on, think about it. Who is facilitating this electron to move freely throughout the material?
The gap.
Energy we are supplying.
No, even if you don't supply also, it will be moving, no. It's a free electron in a metal. Of course, if you supply, it will move in your desired direction. That's how it changes. Otherwise, it can move. Okay,
Sir.
let's say you supply external bias voltage. It moves.
So the gaps between the space.
See, there is a conduction band, what you told earlier. There is a conduction band. If this electron has energy in that conduction band, it could move freely. Right? Who formed this conduction band? Who formed this conduction band? Who are all involved in forming the conduction band?
Valency electrons.
No, not electrons. Come on, think again. It has nothing to do with electrons. Electrons are facilitated to move easily in the material, in the metal, because there is a conduction band. It has nothing to do with electrons. Because electrons have energy in the conduction band, they can move. But who formed this conduction band? Who are all were involved in forming the conduction band? Your physics teacher? Huh? Who are all involved in forming the conduction band? Come on.
Elements which have high electrons. Elements which have high electrons.
We are talking about a material, that's it. Just one metal, let's say copper metal. We are talking about just a copper material, one copper piece. In that copper piece, who is this?
Sir, they need to have free orbitals, no, sir?
Something like that. Come on. That's what I'm asking. Who are all involved in forming the conduction band?
The orbitals
Oh,
and
electrons.
All the atoms.
Valency orbital, sir.
All the atoms.
orbitals.
Say again, all the atoms. Orbital belongs to what? Orbital belongs to atoms. So all the atoms interact with each other and they form a conduction band. Right? All the atoms interact with each other and they form a conduction band. So once an electron gets into the conduction band, that electron does not belong to any of the atoms. It belongs to which atom? That free electron, once it gets enough energy, it gets into conduction band. Where does it belong now? Does it belong to any one atom? No. But it belongs to all the atoms. So instead of saying it belongs to all the atoms, we say it belongs to the material now. Material. Right? Right? So this conduction band now, you see, this conduction band, it is the energy band, that's it. It is not physical. It is not a physical structure, right? Energy range. In this energy range, if electrons are there in this energy range, then, and this energy range is formed by all the atoms which interact with each other. So when an electron gets into this energy range, okay, they can freely move around in the material. Now the question is, this energy range is present throughout the material, right? Do you agree? Around all the atoms, this energy range is present. So electrons can move around very easily without thinking about which atom is there. It doesn't have to care for any atom because it is already in the conduction band. It can move. Now what happens when this situation here, see here, there is an substitutional, there is an interstitial, there may be vacancy. So around this side, the conduction band range, whatever is there, it will not be continuous. It may become discontinuous or it may be disrupted. So this conduction band range, energy range, which extends throughout the material may not be continuous here. It may be discontinuous, or it may be disrupted. So in that case, when an electron tries to move through this region, physically electron has to move through the material physically, right? When an electron tries to move through this region, obviously when it comes around, when it encounters or enters this region, obviously it will not see the same situation what it had elsewhere. Right? It may come under some force, it may be repelled, it may be attracted, it may be trapped, it may not be allowed to move further, it may be scattered. So many things are possible because the energy is not continuous. The conduction band is not continuous here. Why the conduction band is not continuous? Because of the presence of foreign atom, foreign element. So when I say the energy around this region is disturbed or different from the rest of the material, this is how it affects the basic properties of the material. Okay. If the electron cannot move freely in this region, there are so many such regions in the material. There will be so many such substitutional or interstitial regions in the material. So when electron starts moving through the material, obviously when they come near this substitutional or interstitial region, they experience a different field. So their movement may be slowed down, the drifting may be slowed down, or they may be trapped, they may be stopped, they may be scattered. Therefore, what happens? The net conductivity decreases. Do you understand? So when I mean
Yes.
energy around this region is not same, this is what I mean. The underlying understanding, the underlying meaning is that it basically affects the energy distribution in that region. The energy distribution may be valence band, conduction band, band gap, all these things will be there. If it is metal, it is just conduction band. If it is semiconductor, you will have valence band, you will have conduction band, also you will have energy gap. So all these things will be affected. So that finally that influences the final behavior of the material or characteristics of the material. Understand? Any doubts? No doubts? Shall we move forward? Okay. So these two you must be knowing. Schottky defect and Frankel defect. What are Schottky defect?
Atoms are missing, sir. Missing atoms.
Schottky defect, Frankel defect happens in ionic. This happens in ionic crystals.
Equal number of cations and anions are
Yes, it is generally referred to as one Schottky defect is equal to one pair of ions, cation and anion. So as we said, one of you said, equal number of anions and cations absent means so many pair of ions are absent. One pair means one cation, one anion. So many pair of ions are absent. So each pair is called as one Schottky defect. The absence of each pair is called as one Schottky defect. What is Frankel defect?
When an ion moves
Only
from
the
its
cation
place
will
to another
the lattice site.
will occupy.
Sorry?
Interstitial sites.
So when an ion moves from one its lattice point to another
From
lattice
lattice.
point,
No, not lattice.
Interstitial space.
Interstitial, correct. When an ion is moved to interstitial, Frankel defect is formed. Now, what is Frankel defect? One ion in the interstitial and vacancy. So, this ion which is in the interstitial plus this vacancy together are called Frankel. And here this vacancy ion and another vacancy by ion. These two together are called as Schottky defect. So Frankel and Schottky defect, it refers to two types of defects. Two types of defects put together. In one case, both are vacancies. In other case, one vacancy and one interstitial. Okay? Right. I'm checking whether I can finish the remaining portion or not. It is more
Density change in Schottky defect.
Sorry?
The density changes there in Schottky defect.
Yes, in Schottky defect, density changes. Okay, guys, I'll stop here because I cannot complete the remaining portion. It will be too little more for this class. Whereas very little will be left for the next class. So I'll finish in the next class.